See, first to create a user form, you need to right click here on the Project Explorer and choose user form. A blank form is added, and you'll also see a toolbox along with it. So you'll have to first decide which fields do you want to receive as an input from the user. Based on that, we are going to create this form. So let me first give those fields in the sheet and then create the form. I'll say receive input, or just say form entry. And I'll give the field names here. Say name, we wanted gender, and so let me zoom a bit. Yes. So mobile number, email ID. So I also wanted to know which course they want to join and which branch. And it's a course name. Courses enrolled. So something like this. Now we also wanted their age value. I'll include another this thing column here. I'll say age. So I'm trying to show you as as many controls as possible in the same example. So how to use them. So for name, I require a text box. For gender, as we saw yesterday, we are going to take the option buttons. Mobile and email ID, again we require text box. And for age, I'll be using a spin button along with the text box. Spin button is a control to increment and decrement a value. For branch name, so I want a list of branch names to appear. From that, I want the user to choose which branch he or she wants to enroll for. So we'll be using a combo box or drop down over here, and I'll be having a list of courses, and I should also allow them to choose multiple courses at a time. For that, I'll use list box for course enrolled. So these are the details that I'm trying to collect from a user by providing a user form. So we'll see that. Once we decide the fields, it will be easy for us to design the form also. I'll just give this. So first, we are going to provide labels for each field that we want. And then we are going to position the controls required for it. Label, and I'll start giving that. So even before I give this, so let me first name the form here. I'll name the form RM. Let's say I'll just give the name as student details. And I'll give the caption also in the same manner so that it is visible on the form over here. Let's say student details. So I guess now you can see it on the title of that form that we have created. And label, see label, either you just click on it once, you will be able to edit it then and there, or you also have an option to go and change in the caption. In the properties window, you have an option known as caption. You can go and change it there. So both the ways are fine. So here I'll say name, and I'll increase, I'll copy this control. Holding control, you have to drag it with your mouse button and release the mouse button. So that's how you're going to copy it. So next is gender. And again, I'll create a copy of this. So next what we took is mobile number. I'll use that here. And email. The next thing was email. We will provide that. So next I wanted an age control. So age, I'll give the label for that. See, by providing these labels, you know where exactly you want to give those controls. So you should have an imagination of how exactly your form should look like. So then designing will be easy for you. So after this age, we have branch name, which branch they are trying to enroll for. So give the branch name here. And then the next thing is courses enrolled for. Courses enrolled. So I provide this. So next we'll start giving the controls required for these things. Now to make the font size of these labels a little bigger and visible to us, you can choose all these labels at once like this. You just have to drag your mouse, holding your left mouse button, just drag it on it like this. All the labels will be selected at once. Once you select the labels, you have an option known as font in the properties window. Just go and change the font size and type, whatever you want to give there. So I'll make it a little bigger. So let's say 10 size is fine, I guess. And you can choose to provide Arial. Arial font is a little clear when you use it. And you can choose regular size. So here you have the font style. Instead of narrow, you can use regular. And just say okay. So now you can see the labels a little clearly. So previously it was very small. Now you will be able to see it easily. So the next thing is, for each of these labels, we are going to provide the controls that we want. So I'll choose a text box. For name, I am going to use text box to receive the input from the user. So just draw it. So if you double click on it by chance, so this code window will appear for each of them. So don't worry, you can just close it. You have to use this, close this window, we'll get back the form. Next is gender. For gender, as I said, we are going to choose option button. So 1 and 2. So you can rename them right here, or you can also go change the caption. So I'll rename it to male and female. So later you can change these font for these controls as well. Currently they are in the default font known as Tahoma. That is the default font used in this user form controls. You can go and change it later to improve your visibility. So next, mobile number. For this also we require text box. I'll just choose this and draw it over here. So while designing the form, don't worry about the alignment part. You first place the controls and later we can work on aligning them properly. So next is age. See, for age, as I said, to display the age value, I require a text box first. And beside that, I'm going to use this spin button control. So draw it there. Choose it and draw just beside that. Yes. So it looks like this now. Next is branch name. Choose this. So for branch name, as I said, we want a list of branch names to be displayed, and among that I want to choose a particular branch name. For that I can go for combo box. So draw it, and next is list box. For the list of courses to be displayed, I'll use list box. See, now I have to align the labels properly along with these, in line with the controls that I've used here. I just choose, holding shift, you select these two, and you have something known as format menu. Go there, choose align, and choose middle. It will be aligned in the same line. So you do the same with the other controls also. Format, same middle, so it will be aligned properly. So I'll come from the end, that would be much better. So go for format, align middle. So for this, I can't align it middle because this is a bigger control. So what you can do is align top, you can say this. And you can bring down these controls, holding it together. So next is this. So select these two, just say align middle. So there is no way we can select everything at once and align middle. That will not be possible. You have to go individually like this. So once we have aligned everything, then the designing part will be done. Next is mobile number. I'll align this one as well. So yes, so these are aligned properly. Anyways, I'll bring them a little down. Yes, so they look much better now. So go here, align to middle. So now it's done. So next we have to provide buttons to submit this form. Whenever we enter anything, we require a provision to submit whatever we have entered. So I'll choose command button here. So draw the command buttons, create a copy of it, and you can rename them. So I'll name it as submit and this as cancel. So once we have designed, you can check how it looks when you run the form or when it is displayed on the screen, how exactly it looks like. You can choose to see that. Just select the form, click on run button, the form will be displayed. So as I said, this is not going to be attached to any sheet. whichever sheet is kept open in your Excel file, so it gets displayed on the same sheet. So now we have to write programs for these controls to make it work. So whatever we enter here, it should be collected and stored in this sheet. For that, we have to write the program now. So let me close this. So we have named the form. We should also name the controls which we will be using in the program. So you don't have to rename the labels. You don't have to rename the labels. So these controls like text box, option button, drop down, so they have to be named so that you will be able to identify the controls while writing the program. Otherwise, you will just see it as text box 1, text box 2. So you don't know which text box is used for what. So if you have named it, it will be really helpful to you. So just select the control, and in the properties window you're going to change. So you need to follow the naming convention. Even that is going to help you while writing the program. So now text box, I'll say TB. You can also use TXT, any prefix that indicates which control it is. So it's better to give a prefix to identify it that way. Say TB name. The next, option button male. So I'll give OB, option button male. Next, female. I'm going to name all the controls like this one by one. I know this is a little lengthy process, but it's worth it. Okay, next is TB mobile. This is one of the easiest topics as well. So next is TB email. I'll name it as email. This is age. See, for age we have a text box and spin button both. As a TB age, selecting the text box, you should also name the spin button. Say SB, spin button age. And for this drop down, they call it combo box in VBA. Drop down is named as combo box. Either you can use the same prefix, or you could also say DD branch, drop down branch. I usually name it that way. You can also say CBO branch. So it's left to you. For list box, I'll say LST course. I'll name it this way. And for the command buttons also, you need to name. I'll say CMD submit, and this one as CMD cancel. So you need to rename all the controls like this and later start programming. So you can also check if it is named properly. You have to select the controls and check what will be the name of these controls in the properties window. So you will get to know what are the names here. And we will be using the same names in the program. So now let me write a program for this cancel button so that whenever I click on cancel, the form will close. So for that I am using this cancel button. I'll just say double click. So you can see here CMD cancel click. CMD cancel is the name that you have provided for the button. The same name will appear here. You should not be writing the names of the macro. It is related to the object, so just double click on the object, so it will be linked to that object properly. So don't write the names. It's better if you double click on it and then use it. So now when I click on it, I'm writing for the click event of this button. So when the button is clicked, what should happen? So when the cancel button is clicked, I need to unload the form. Unload means to close it. So provide unload and give the form name. It will take it. So next thing, go back to the form, double click on the form icon here. So next, submit button. When I click on submit button, all these values that I provide here has to be received. So next, double click on it. This will be a lengthy program. So when I click on submit, there are so many things that we need to check first. So when I click on submit, it should get printed here in B5. First record gets printed in the B5. So it is fifth row. And the next record should go on, printing in the next blank row that we have. It should not overwrite. See, for this to happen, I need to take count of how many rows are already filled. See, if at all there is a row filled here and there is another row filled. See, if I take count on this column, I'll get to know 2 rows are already filled. So I know in the third row, I have to enter the next data. For this, I'm going to take row count. I'll go here and declare a variable. I'll say int rc as integer and use this to store the row count. And I'm going to write a line of code over here to just take count of how many rows are there. Say application worksheet function dot count a. See, I need to start counting it from fifth row, B column. So B5, and I'll give a buffer range. So like B10,000 or something like this. I should also provide the sheet name. So let us rename the sheet as WKS form. WKS form. Yes. So in that sheet, I am taking count. Let's say WKS form dot range of. So then it will consider this. The next thing is, once I take the count of the rows over there in the form sheet, I'll start printing it. See here, I'll be referring to the same sheet always, that is a WKS form. So with this sheet, so what all should happen? I can use this with operator. See, if you know a particular object is being referred many times, you don't have to repeat its name. So you can just say with WKS form. This is the sheet name and say dot range. See, it is same as WKS form dot range. Okay. Since I am going to repeat this many times, I'm using a with operator and giving this so that I can just start with this range and start printing the values. So here, I want to print it from fifth row. Currently, there are no rows present. There is no data present. So you will see the row count will be 0. So if I have to start printing exactly from the fifth row, I should say rc ampersand rc int rc plus 5. So that row count will be 0 and it will add 5 to it to start printing it from the fifth row. See, this is one case, or what you could do is you can just give this plus 5 right in this place. I'll take count, I'll add 5 to it. So that I just have to use int rc. Either way, see, if you give plus 5 here, in every line I have to provide plus 5. Instead, I'm just giving that plus 5 over here. Now in this cell, I want to print whatever is received from the form, that is text box name. What is entered in text box name has to get printed in the B5 cell. And say TB name dot value. You need to remember those names, or what you could do is, if you know, see it is a text box, you know that, you just say TB, press control space bar, you get list of names starting from TB. You can just choose from there. If if you're finding it difficult to remember the names of the controls that you have provided, this prefix that you gave will come to your rescue. You know all text boxes start from TB, just give that, use control space bar, you will be using the exact name. See, these names are very important. If you give some wrong names, or you just think this would be a name and you type it, it's not going to work like that. The object names are very, very important here. So I take the name value. Next is gender. See, for gender, we have two controls over there. Option button male and option button female. I should first check which one is selected. So I'll be using if condition here. I'll say if OB male, that is option button male, if its value is equal to true. An option button's value will be true if it is selected. Otherwise, it will be false. So this is same as that. I'm checking if it is true. If it is true, then within this range, I have to print it in the next column, that is C. I'll say int RC dot value should be equal to OB mail dot caption. So caption is what label you gave to that option button. That will be printed in the sheet that we have. So if the option button mail is selected, then I want to print the caption given to the same option button. So if it is not selected, I'll just say else, let's say range. It is the same cell we have to choose, int RC, because either male is printed or female is printed. So I'm going to choose the same cell here. So in case OB male is not selected, then OB female's caption should be entered there. And I'll end the if block. So next is mobile number. So we know this. So again range, just say the next column D, that's where I have to print. Say int RC dot value should be equal to text box mobile dot value. Next is email ID. So it will go on like this. Okay, int RC dot value should be equal to the text box email that we provided. Email. I'll choose that and I'll give you this. So next is age. See, for age, you just take the text box value of the age. Later, we'll have to write a program for the spin button, so that whatever is set in the spin button, that gets displayed in the text box. So currently, just give a value here. In the program, we'll just type it like this. We are going to take the input in the F column. And say TV age dot value. So this is for age. So what else do we have? Branch name and course enrolled. So for branch name and course enrolled, we have to first give input to these drop down and the course list. So that I will be doing that later. So as of now, let's check only for these controls that we have written the program. So let me run this. See, until age, I'm trying to print. We are yet to write the programs for branch and course list. I want you to understand this first. So I'll give end with here. And we'll say unload form. As soon as I press submit, it should print all these things and close the form. FRM student details. So let me run this. See now, I'll enter student 1. Say, I'll give some number here and mail ID. And age. See, we have not assigned anything to spin button yet. So nothing will be displayed here. So let me give the value directly. I will say 22. We should write a code to see that the branch list and the course list is going to appear. So currently we have written the program only for these controls. I'll say submit. You can check in the Excel sheet. All that will be entered. These things are easy. So even the combo box, the drop down value can be easily taken. For course enrolled, we have to write a for loop. I'll show you that. So to provide input to the branch list and the course list, I should prepare that list first. So I'll say branch names. I'll say course list. So we need to prepare this first. I'll give some values for branch. I'll say so something like this. So I'll give these as the branch names and I'll just list the course list over here. Say advanced Excel. Say dashboard. And few more like Python. Okay, you can give few more like so I'll give these as the course names. So you have to first provide a name range to it. Select the list of items that you have provided. You go to the name box, give the name to it. So I'll be referring to those cells with these names. I'll say RNG branch. After you provide the name, don't forget to press enter. Only then it is taken. The next is for the course list, you give RNG course here. Press enter. Now once we have named these two lists, we are going to use it in the program to assign it to those two controls. Let's go back. You have to double click on the user form. Double click on it. You will get this user form click. So just you have to change the event over here. I am not going to write a program for click event of user form. It should be for initialize. So this is what we want now. Initializes whenever the form is opened. What should happen? So every time the form opens, I want those lists to be added to that controls that we have provided there. So here I'll say the control name should be given, say dd branch dot row source. See, row source is the property here to set the range of cells that we have named currently and provide the name of the range that you want to assign to this, say RNG branch. And for the list, we have LSD codes. Again, even for this one, we have a row source property and give the name for this as well, RNG course. So now you have done it. Just see, you open the form, you will be able to see the values over here in the drop down and also in the list. You will be able to see it. So cancel. We don't have so many items. I'll just reduce it. Okay. You can still reduce it, I guess. So I want to also set, a property for this list in such a way that we can choose multiple items in it. So you have to go down. So in list style, I'm changing the list style to list style option. And next is multi-select. See here in multi-select, it is single selection. That by default it will be single selection. If you again go and say select multi, so then now you run it, you will be able to see it this way, and you can choose multiple items at once. So clear till here, all of you? I'll be showing the program for the list and the drop down. Clear till here? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay. We should also write a program for the spin button. Just double click on it. On the spin button, when I double click, I am saying for every change of the spin button, I want it to be displayed in the text box of age. I'll say tbAge.value is equal to whatever is the value assigned by age. Spin button age.value. Okay, so this is the thing. So now when you run it, you can see here, as in when you increase or decrease, so this is going to change. And you also have an option to go and type directly in the text box. So it is left to your choice. Either type in the text box or use the spin button. Both are fine. So even in the drop down that we have, you can just give few letters. It will just autofill the thing. So whatever, but the value should be there in the drop down. Only then it's going to fill it that way. So let's say Bangalore. See, I gave B and it started. So for Kolkata, again, RLC, QOC, it displays like this. It's very easy. So we have to include these things in our submit button program. Double click on submit button. So within end with, again, after the age part, we have the branch. So I'll say dot range. Now in G column, say INT RC dot value, whatever is the value selected in the drop down, same thing has to be given here. Say dd branch dot value. So for the course list, we are trying to provide multiple inputs. See, in that case, I want all the courses selected to be printed in the same cell. I don't want it in different cells. So, and I also have to be, we should be able to print all those courses that the user has selected. So we should check first which are the items selected in the list, and based on that we have to print it in the sheet. For this purpose, I'm going to use for loop. I'll have to declare few variables before that. Let's say dim int cv as integer. This is to implement the for loop. I require a counter variable. I'm taking this. Next, I also require a string variable str course, I'll say, as integer. This is to store all the course values that I have selected. So after providing this, I'll give this for int cv is equal to 1 to, I'll say 0 to lst course dot list count -1. So I'll tell you why we are giving it this way. Within a list, now let's say I have 10 items. The first item in the list is referred to as the 0th item. The indexing in list will start from 0. So that's the reason I have given 0 here. And 0 to 9 is going to refer all the 10 items. That's the reason I'm going to give -1 here. See, the count will always give me 10. List count will say how many items are there. But I'm trying to refer to the items, individual items in the list by its index. So I'm going to say 0 to list count -1. So that is, if there are 10 items, I'm going to refer to it as 0, 1, 2, 3 till 9. Okay. So next, after providing this for loop, I'll immediately mention next also so that I'll not forget it. And we have to check individual item. If lst course dot selected of int cv, then see here I'm checking whether the items in the list have been selected. If it is selected, then I should say str course. I'm going to store that course value within this variable is equal to str course ampersand. I'll give a comma. I want each course to be separated by a comma, and I'll say lst course dot list of int cv. So if I use list of, it's going to give me the value present in that particular index, so 0th item in the list. So it will give me the value, and I'll end this. After the for loop is executed, we are going to print all that is stored in the str course variable within the sheet. So I'll say rng. I have to print it in h column ampersand int rc dot value is equal to str course. We have to do some modification here, but let me come to it later. I'll show you why we have to use that. So now let's see whether it is working fine. I'll run it. I'll give some student detail here. Student 2, let's say. I'll choose this and give some mobile number. Student at gmail.com. I'll just give this. And age, I'll say 25, something like this. And branch, I'll choose Delhi. We'll give some multiple courses like this and say submit. Oh, sorry guys. I have to declare it as string here. I have declared it as integer. So you will get a type mismatch if you have assigned a wrong data type to it. This should have been string. I'm sorry. We'll have to rewrite it again. I'll run it now. I'll rewrite it for you. I'll just delete the 2 at gmail.com, something like this. Age, and here I'll say Kolkata. I'll give some course names. It says submit. Let's check the output. See over here, you are getting all the course names, but we also have a comma in the beginning. See, this should be removed in the code itself. That's what I was telling you. We have to make some changes to it so that it does not print the comma in the beginning. So why it is printing a comma? Because see, in the code, what I have written is, see over here in this area, and say str course ampersand the list item selected. Currently, str course will not have anything. So before running the program, it will be a null string. Nothing is stored in it. So it's a blank value, comma, then the list item selected. So once it stores this, all the other items will be repeatedly added to the queue there. So for the first item, this comma also gets along with it. We should remove it while printing. So I'm going to use this write function over there. Write this one, str course, comma, length of str course -1. I'll show you in Excel how it is going to work. See, the same thing. Suppose this is your str course. I'm going to apply write function on it in the VBA code I'm telling you. Say if this is the text. So what I'm going to do to remove that comma in the beginning is, so I'll give the number of characters to be printed from right side as length of the entire string -1, so that the comma is omitted. So we'll get the output like this now. So for the next input that I'm going to provide from the form, you can see that I'll give student 3 and give some mobile number and say like this, and the age is something similar. And branch name I'll just choose Bangalore, and I'll choose these many courses. Say submit. You can check all those values are entered here now. And none of the records are overlapping. They are getting printed one below the other. So is it clear to all of you till here why we are using this in this format? Yes or no?
Yes, it's clear for me.
Okay. See, to open this form, we can't come here always and use the run button. I should be able to open this form right from this sheet and enter the details and it gets submitted. Or either you could also provide it in some other sheet. It is fine, but I'm going to show it right here. I'll insert a shape and here I'll say add student details. Okay. Right click. Say, we have to assign a macro to this button in such a way that whenever you click it, the form appears. So it's a very simple program. And we have to write this program in a this general module. Choose this. See here it says sub display form. I'll give this as the name of the macro. See here you just have to mention the form name and say dot show. This is the line of code to display the form. And I'm going to assign this macro to the shape that we have provided. Just right click on it, assign macro, provide the name of the macro, just say okay. See right from here you can open the form now. And whatever you enter here and click submit, that will be entered. Okay. So I hope you all have clear idea of how these forms are. It can be more complex. You can keep on adding codes. Okay. I haven't shown you validation part. Anyways, I'll be sharing that. Yesterday I have shared that in the material. You can check it. You can also validate whether this field is empty. If it is empty, it should display a message box, and the user has to be allowed to enter the value again. So validations of such kind can be given to all the controls over here. Currently, I haven't used any validation, and I have just shown you how each control is used, and using these controls, how the input can be received. That's what we have done till now. Okay. So we'll see other things, working on different objects, how to work on different objects. So that we'll be touching upon. See, until now you have already seen few programs like hiding sheet, adding sheet, renaming it, and these things. I'll not be repeating those. So only the programs which we have not done, like using range object, using workbook object, I'll be showing that to you. Okay. There are different objects available on which you can start working. So I'll be showing you that. Say insert another module. I'll use range object here. RNG mod range object. See, in range object, so range object is nothing but an array of cells, or even a single cell is considered as range. I have explained to you while where we were working on for each loop. But over here, see, using the array of cells, you can filter it, copy pasting it, or even sort it or removing duplicates. All these can be performed using the range object. So until now we have tried to refer to those objects directly by their address. Now I want to store it as store it in a variable and then utilize it in my program. That's what we are seeing today. So let me take a data to show you how to filter and copy paste and remove duplicates. So those things I'll teach you today. So just give me a second. I'll take some data to filter. So now I have this data. With this data, I want to perform few functions like applying filter to it and how to copy paste the filtered data elsewhere, how to apply sort on it, removing duplicates. These things I will teach you. See, to apply filter, you have to first select the entire range over here. So how to do that through the code? Let's see that. Let's say macro to apply filters. Say sub apply auto filter. And I'm going to take a range type variable and range type object here to work on and say dim RNG range filter as range. See, this is a range type. It's a range type data type. Okay, it's an object data type there. What kind of object I'm trying to store within a variable, I'm providing it there. So this is what I was telling you, how to use them individually. On range object we are working today. So what all we can do with the range object, that is what I am teaching you today. So here, and I have to assign a value to this. So which range has to be assigned to it? To give that, I should use set keyword. Since it's a range, it's an object type, I have to use the set keyword to assign value to it. And I'll say RNG filter equals. So you have to provide the range of cells here. Either you can say B3 to F3459, or you can also say current region. You can use this current region property. I'll show you both over here. So you need to rename. I'm going to rename the sheet for my convenience. Just change this. Say WKS filter. See here, say WKS filter dot range of, either you can use B3 to F3459. See, if you provide it this way, it's a static range. Always it is going to take from B3 to F3459. So tomorrow if your data reduced or increased with more than this range that you have provided, it doesn't consider it. It will always take this particular range. So if we want it to be more dynamic in nature, we are going to use current region property. I'll just comment it. So here I'll say B3. So you can choose any cell within that range and just use current region. So this will select the entire data, irrespective of its size. It will consider all the consecutive cells. So all cells in one group, in one chunk, it is going to select all the data like this. So once we have the variable given the value, I'm going to use it over here now. RNG filter dot. See, on this area of cells, I'm applying filter. So say auto filter. It asks you to give in these inputs. These are the parameters for auto filter function. It will ask you the field number, criteria, and if at all you have any operators to provide, so all those things you can give here. So field and criteria is the most important ones. So what you have to do here, field is on which column you want to apply filter. That is the field there. So I want to apply filter on customer type. So within this selection, within the data that I have, it is in the third column. So I'll choose 3 as the field number. Next, you will have to provide the criteria. What are we trying to filter in the third column of the data? So in customer type, I have something known as Galaxy. I'll just give that. So now let us filter this, run this. I have executed. You can check Galaxy that has been filtered. You can check over here as well. See, Galaxy is filtered. If I have to apply filter on another column now, I have applied on the third column. So if I have to change the criteria, you just have to change it here. Or let's say I want to apply filter on a different column now, along with the third column. Then again I have to repeat the line and say which column I'm applying. So this time let's say first column, I'll choose the region column and here I'll give the region. So I want East. So now if you execute it, you can see East is filtered and also Galaxy. So if you have to apply filters on multiple columns, you have to give the columns in sequence like this. So I first gave the third column has to be filtered and next I'm giving the first column. So in whichever order you provide, in the same order it will be filtered. So for multiple columns to be filtered, you have to use this method. So are you clear with applying filters, all of you? Do you have any doubts here? Or you want any specific example to be provided? Yes or no?
Vidya, what about color filters? Applying on colors, the syntax would remain the same.
Yes, it would remain the same. But over here you have to provide, so there is a function, Excel filter cell color or font color. You need to choose that. And for this you have to provide the color there. So in place of criteria, you're going to provide the color and then I'll show you that example anyways. I'll have to apply color then. I'll have to apply color and then show it to you. I'll see to clear filters. Let me show you that also. macro to clear filters. You can, so again, you have to choose all these things. You can write it in the same program, but the problem is you will not be able to see the output. That's the reason I'm showing it to you in the separate one. And just say RNG filter dot autofill, or you just have to provide the sheet name. Even this is not required. Even this is not required. In case that sheet has got any filters, all filters will be cleared at once. You have to mention the sheet name dot auto filter mode equals false. So if you give this, you can see all filters will be cleared at once. I'll run it. Okay, clear filters. It is going to clear all the filters from that sheet. So first let me assign, give me the, let us give some colors here. I'll randomly go choose, or I'll use conditional formatting, that is much better. On sales, I'll just say highlight cells between, suppose, 500 to 1000. I want to color it. It's a custom format. I'll give a color to it. So I'll choose more colors. I'll give a specific color here. Let me give green color to it. Okay, I have given the color now. Now I want to apply filter and filter only these colors. In that case, so I'll select all these again. Apply filter cell color or filter cell color. I'll change the macro name to filter cell color. So you have to choose the column. In which column you're applying the filter. So sales is 5th column. So I'm going to give 5 here. You have to give the color code. See, whichever is the color code, we gave the RGB value, right? You have to choose the same. For whichever color applied, you have to provide the RGB value. 0 to 55, 0. And mention, I want to filter it by cell color. So now if you run this, you can see the filters are applied on the cell color. So you can choose like this for font color also, but you should be knowing the color code of the the cell that has been colored. Then it is easy for you to apply filter like this. So is it clear, Sagu?
Sure, Vidya. Thanks. Thank you very much.
Okay. So we'll just take a 5-minute break and I'll come back soon. And